Hey there, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 28th of May, and the neighbor space is coming in well. So let's take a look at it. This is the time of day where my neighbors are starting to return home, so I'll apologize in advance for any sort of road noise, but this is also the part of the day where I have bandwidth to kind of think about making this video for you all. So yeah, we are outside of the neighbor space here. This is leading up to the break in the farmer's wall, which is right up there, a little bit past the phlox that you can make out. It's that little pink one right there. Yep. So that's the phlox. We have a whole number of ferns, and I'm pretty sure some vinca in here. We have a handful of little hostas that I'm actually going to spend some time tomorrow releasing light to, but you can also see some of either the real or the false Solomon seal. I am not always entirely sure which in the moment. Something I should figure out. As we get into really what is like the front display garden, this little lovely is just coming past its flower. It's actually the first time it's flowered for me since I've lived here. Telling you, it's not a busy street, but at times it really feels that way. And so here we are to the walkway to the neighbor space. It has been quite some time since I have been able to kind of refresh the walkway itself, although I did add a little bit of fresh chip just to demarcate things. But you can see that our strawberries are going hard. These being only a few feet from the roadway are really just there for wildlife and for runner propagation. But even though I'm not enjoying the fruits from these are a wonderful little addition to this space. Likewise, the yarrow is really here to encourage all of the pollinator activity and to make sure that we have a ton of beneficial wasps frequenting the area, as it were, as we go. And so we have a handful of strawberry and yarrow and then grasses. And this pattern kind of repeats going down the line here. What I want are taller elements that'll grow up. And in addition to this, it's like a 1.5 feet, maybe 2 foot rise. If I can get another 2 or 3 foot rise out of some of the elements in this garden, then I have a pretty effective barrier for road dust and those sorts of things to make the rest of all of this more harvestable and safer to do so. We have our wildlife blueberries. I'm pretty sure they're past their flower. These usually do their thing a few weeks before our high bush cultivated varieties. And if I look in here, you can see that they are definitely in berry production rather than flower. And so it looks like these have been pollinated and will be providing some forage to the birds, as well as this lovely iris. Look at that. Just starting to poke out, but it's going to be gorgeous. I know. I can feel it in my bones. And so we do have a handful of irises tucked back in here with the blueberries. These are just a little nice little pop of color. This is a black cherry that I should probably get rid of. But coming into this space here, we have more irises, some lovely little ground cover sedums, and other wonderful little characters. These guys are Fedimus. It's the little two-step. These come up with their flowers a little bit later in the season, just before the sedums do. And we've also got this lovely elderberry that is just going super hard right now on stem production. I doubt that this will flower since this is all first-year wood, but It's a wonderful little bit of biomass in this garden, and if it does flower, it's going to be beautiful. When it flowers, it's going to be beautiful. Which is really the point, is to... Oh, we got another car coming. And so we'll have even more food, or, barring the growth of the road barrier, these will be excellent propagation material to plant out in the gardens. Likewise, just to the east of this elderberry is actually a Nelson blackberry. And what I did started overcrowding the pathway here. And so I came in just a small amount of trellis just to kind of push back. And I gently lifted and heightened the main stems, but kept all of the production stems on a horizontal so that I didn't impact any of the nutrient flow internally for the plant, so that I can hopefully still get a nice little crop of berries off of this. And as we move in here, you'll notice that there is a ton of these yellow greenish flowers. This is a spurge. It is not native, but it loves this space, and it is a wonderful little amount of forage for all of these little creatures that are in here. So I really don't mind it. And once we start moving past its season, rather than allowing it to scatter seed everywhere, it does spread by runners. So what we do is we come in and we will cut it back and use it as a green mulch for all of these other plants, like our phloxes and more sedums and more phenemus and our honeyberry, which are making some clusters of fruit for us. We're still a little ways out on getting food out of this garden, but I'm looking forward to it. Quick note, I'm going to zoom in. My little collection of succulents in the wall, while not the most impressive thing, they are doing well, and I'm looking forward to seeing them continue to grow in those spaces we've provided for them. We've also got additional honeyberry down here at the bottom. Maybe if I zoom back like this, it'll be a little less daunting. So we have a number of honeyberry in here, as well as a couple of wild and a couple of cultivar raspberries as well. And one of my favorite characters you can actually see beginning its climb up. And this is Apios americana, the common groundnut, American groundnut, nitrogen fixing, Georgia O'Keeffe flowering, climbing, temperate vine. And it's lovely. It's gentle. It doesn't strangle things. But so we have a ton of the phenemus and the grasses, but we also have a few flowers in here. I'm not entirely sure how well you can make it out, but we do have a whole bunch of, I believe these are the red bee balms, Monarda didyma, rather than the fistulosa, but I could be wrong. I plant a lot of Monardas, and we have a lot of them, and they spread, so I try to intermix them. I think it looks neat. And we also have a ton of this lily of the valley, which I know is not really food forest-esque, being that they are, toxic, but they were here living under the invasive shrubs that we took out, and there is no beating them. I give as many to my friend for whom these are her favorite flowers. I give as many as I can every year to her. She'll never be satisfied, and I'm fine with that, but I will also, I think, never really make a dent in their population, short of large-scale actions. And then Down here, I know for a fact that this particular raspberry is one of my Anns. And the only reason I know that is because it is in proximity to the hydrangea that was a volunteer from a few years ago. And so the hydrangea is kind of my anchor point for this garden. And so at this stage of it, we have some resprouting on one of the maples. We've probably got some resprouting on a cherry or two over here that I had cut back last year. But we have just enough green cover that if I need to, I can come in and I can just kind of pull some of these grasses that I don't want going on. I can pull them and snap them off, and they'll have a harder time getting the sunlight from this. And that's, if I need to. But I can also come in when I come in to do all of the spurge, and I can just come in with the hori hori and drop these grasses out too, and it'll be good. That's not even to talk about the weeping cherries and my Japanese maple that I love, or peonies that are getting ready to bloom. You know what? Let me come around the wall. So on this side of the wall, it is a cacophony of green. We do have a couple of honeyberry, the Lonicera ceruleae, as well as a big line of comfreys. Some of them are going to be easier to spot than the others. The raspberries and the strawberries are also in here throughout, and these are beautiful, tall, happy looking strawberries, and I love to see them. You can probably make out a little bit of the hairy vetch that's in here, and then some more of my flowers, the peonies beginning, forevermore, lily of the valley. We also have a ton of this soapwort, which is a European plant and produces saponins naturally as part of a plant. So we have very few pest issues, but I also have very few market applications for these plants, even though I think they're nice. A lot of folks are really into antibacterial soaps instead of natural soaps. So we'll see how it goes. In here, we have a couple of Good King Henry plants tucked in with some marshmallow. This is the common marshmallow rather than my wood mallow, which is over in a different section of the yard. More weeping cherry. Starts with a V, having trouble in the moment. I will think of it and add it in the notes. Probably, maybe. Maybe you can call it out faster than I can recognize it. Biennial. Supposed to be useful for the roots for sleeping. Escapes me. English is hard, but it is doing phenomenally. I could have taken roots last year as a harvest, but I want to spread more of this, even though in the moment I can't recall what it is. So what this is another investment in seed production. And then we'll grow out a ton more of these and plant about half of what we grow and propagate. And then we can go from there and see what the market is like for it. But medicinals are always welcome in our gardens. I had mentioned Nicole's lilac. If it's one set of white flowers and just absolute bounteous clusters of the little purples and whites. There's another one that I've planted way out back for her, and I have no idea what color it will be, so that will be exciting. You can see some of our daylilies, if you can distinguish it from the spurge. Here you go. These are all getting ready to pop too, so it's coming along. I know I had complained in our last video about the amount of white in the garden and wishing for more yellows and purples, and I really didn't mean to discount all of the color that I do have up in here. If you know what I mean, it's just you get kind of tracked onto one set of things. And if you're not walking enough of the gardens each day, you might miss things like how beautiful this comfrey in flower is and how far along it is. This is almost at the point where I'll be able to step it down and give it a little crunch and start working on the next succession of flowers and leafy material to keep doing the in situ breakdown and composting ish type activities, mostly to take care of this carpet of black cherry seedlings, which the tree above us drops prolifically every year. So that's part of why the comfreys are here, is just so that I can fold them down and get rid of, not really get rid of, but hamper the ability of the black cherries to overtake us here, because they will try. And then we have yet another honeyberry, but this all used to be burning bush, about as tall as those willow branches that you see up top there, and it was just a visual privacy barrier. And while I don't mind the privacy, you can probably tell that I kind of appreciate it based on how these individuals are all filling in this line here. But I can actually peek out and be seen and wave and chat with neighbors and offer them fruits either from that side of the wall or from this side of the wall. And so it feels really validating. It feels really good. And I'm happy to have this space to welcome folks to our space. That's a lot of spaces in one sentence. But it's true. I think this is a pretty welcoming little section of garden, and makes you want to go, I wonder what else he's got. Wonder what else they grow. But just a quick note, I'll link to it, but this whole garden is the catching ground for the town's snow removal trucks. And so every year the plow comes down this road and scoops all of this snow right up in here. And this is the bounty of road sand and chop and drop and just persistently planting more of the things that want to do well in here. And so that's what I'll leave you folks with. Just keep planting, and you'll find the things that love the space that you've given them and want to reward you by thriving. Sure, there are some bare spots where, some of the tricolor grasses, like in here and here, have not fully filled in, but we've also got other seeds planted out in those spaces, and so I'm really hopeful that they will come along as well. So yeah. Quick note, if you're in the area, if you're local to us, I'll be doing a talk about compost tomorrow at the local library in town, and you should come check it out. I can guarantee at least one compost pun. So, hope to see you there. But even if I don't, thanks for watching. Happy planting.